G'day everyone, today we're going to cover the Officer Core and Doctrines and how understanding this part of the game can elevate your playthroughs. I'll show you the differences between the Doctrines, how the Officer Core can help you get your Doctrines early, as well as some general advice on which of the officers are worth hiring and more. I'll also have a bonus tip at the end, so stick around for that. But firstly, if you find this and my other guides helpful, please leave and like and subscribe. I'll have timestamps down below for all the important stuff, and let me know in the comments if there are any other topics you'd like me to cover. On the far right of the menu tabs up here, you'll have the Officer Core. So this is where you can assign officers to your army, navy or air force to give you bonuses and daily XP gain, all for a bit of political power and command power. You can also see any active modifiers you have for your branches as well, which are underneath each of the command sections. Finally, you can view and assign your doctrines for each branch as well. Let's start with the doctrines. Over the course of the game, these are going to be the main ways that you improve the effectiveness of your troops. If you click onto one of these icons here, you can see it will bring up the doctrine for that particular branch. So having a quick look here, you can see that there are 4 different doctrines for your army, and then 3 for your navy and air force. You unlock these with XP, so your army, navy and air XP, and you can only take one path at a time. Keep in mind that if you start down one path and then try to change it, you'll lose all your progress. Each path provides different bonuses, and choosing the right one is really down to what kind of playthrough you're going to be doing. You can see the brief description for each of these at the top here. That should give you a rough indication of what kind of playthrough that's going to complement. You can also hover over each of the levels or each of the researchers, I guess you could call them here, and that will give you the tooltip with what bonuses that it provides. Another thing to consider as well is that there are variations in some of the doctrines. So for example, you might take the mobile warfare path, and then what are you going to do? Are you going to go down the left for mobile infantry, or are you going to go down the right for blitzkrieg? Once you decide that, are you going to go for desperate defense or modern blitzkrieg? So it really can be a bit overwhelming. There are a lot of options, so I'll give you a rough guide through all of these to get started. Mobile warfare is the path that you're going to want to take if you're going to be focusing heavily on tanks. That's not to say that your other paths don't give you any tank bonuses, but this one really specializes in it. Particularly as Germany, I like to go down the 2 right paths for Blitzkrieg and Modern Blitzkrieg. These give you a lot of tank bonuses, and that's kind of more valuable than boosting your mobile infantry on the left here and getting the recruitable population, which you can just get through upgrading your conscription laws. Superior Firepower is the doctrine I'd recommend for every beginner to start out with, as it gives big bonuses to your infantry, especially if you're adding in artillery, which most new players do. Integrated support on the right hand side here gives you a combined plus 50% soft attack, which is just massive. And then coming down here for the next option, if I'm using tanks, I'll take the left hand path for air-land battle. However, if I'm just sticking with infantry, I'll go down shock and awe. Grand Battle Plan focuses on giving you high entrenchment and boosting your defense. The very first option here gives you plus 10 entrenchment, which is just huge. It's so helpful, especially as the UK or the Soviets, or even as China defending against Japan. I like to take the right-hand path under infiltration, as this reduces your supply by 10% and also gives you a 25% bonus to fighting at night, which is 1/3 of a day in the game, so it's a great bonus to have. Finally, for your army doctrines, we have Mass Assault. Really great for reducing supply and cramming as many divisions onto the front as you possibly can. The right-hand path under mass mobilization can be good for countries that are kind of low on manpower. It not only gives you an extra 5% recruitable pop, which is huge, but it also reduces the combat width of your infantry battalions by 0.4, meaning you can put more battalions and more stats into the same width template. Overall, however, I do prefer the left-hand side under deep battle. This gives you a minus 20% reduction in supply usage in total, which is just insane. And it also allows you, so that basically allows you to put more divisions on the front line overall. And you still get that 0.4 combat width reduction for your infantry. So not only are you getting stronger divisions, but also you can fit more of them on the front line for the same amount of supply. For your navy doctrines, these are a little bit different, where you can actually fulfill an entire doctrine without without being restricted within it. So the choice of which to take is a bit simpler. It's also pretty easy to decide which to take. If you're building a lot of battleships and cruisers, then the fleet in being on the left-hand side is the way to go. If you're only going to focus on subs, then you go for trade interdiction. And if you're building a lot of carriers and focusing on them, then base strike on the right-hand side is the one you want. Each doctrine provides bonuses to each type of ship, but again, it's best to specialize. So just take the time to read through the tooltips for each doctrine to see what suits your playstyle best. Keep in mind, anything that boosts your fleet's organization and armor are pretty important. Now for the air doctrine. In the Hoi 4 community, this is one of the most hotly debated topics, probably just behind which industry tech is best. I'm here to tell you though, for single player, it doesn't really matter. Strategic Destruction on the left-hand side gives you huge bonuses to strat bombing, and it also gives your fighters a 10% boost to their agility, which before the By Blood Alone DLC was really important, probably the most important stat, although now you're probably much better off taking battlefield support to boost your CAS. Or even operational integrity if you use a lot of tac bombers. You also get the agility bonus for fighters on operational integrity, so unless you are really wanting to use strat bombers, I wouldn't really worry about strategic destruction. The battlefield support, as I said, it gives you huge bonuses to your CAS, both with boosting their agility and giving them a bonus to ground support. By the way, agility for planes just makes them harder to hit, keeping them alive for longer, so that's why it's important. That's why it is an important stat to be aware of. I like to take the right-hand path for this doctrine, as that just gives you more chance to get fighter aces, or aces in general, which the boosts they give can be really good. Also, this one here gives you a bit of a decent boost to your strat bombing and naval attack, so yeah, this one's definitely my favorite lately. Operational integrity is great if you're like me and a big tac bomber believer. They can do it all, and this doctrine just makes them do it even better. It gives less bonus to ground attack than the battlefield support doctrine does, although it does give the same level of naval attack bonus. It does increase the tac bomber strat bombing and defense, so that's definitely an advantage that it has, and you also get that 10% fighter boost to help them protect your tac bombers. So overall, this one's a pretty good option. So, now we've gone on about the doctrines. How do you unlock them? Well, you need Army, Navy, and Air XP, and as you can see, that will allow you to then unlock the different doctrines, whichever one you want to go down. You get that Army, Navy, and Air XP either through combat, some focuses, or through your military branch chiefs. For the cost of some political power and your command power, you can assign an Army, Navy, or Air Force commander. These guys will give you bonuses to that branch, as well as a daily XP gain for the relevant XP. These differ from your military high commanders, as they also give you that daily XP, not just the boosts. So again, having that XP coming in is really important, not only for your doctrines, but also for changing up your division templates prior to war. There are also different levels for your officers. From low to high, they're Specialist, Expert, and Genius, and they give higher bonuses the higher level they are. Not only that, but they also cost more political power and less command power. So when you assign an officer, whether it's your chief of a branch or your high command, the amount of command power that they cost is subtracted from your command power cap. So if we just hire this guy here, so he allocates 20 command power, and if we have a look, you can see that our current max is reduced by 20. At the start of the game, you have a cap of 200, and then each time you assign an officer, that cap is reduced. Eventually, you may get to the point where your cap is so low that you can't recruit any new generals or take any battlefield operations like Force Attack or Last Stand. So, given that the higher level officers not only give you much higher bonuses, but they also take up less of your command power, it's well worth saving up for a Genius or even an Expert, even though your political power cost might be higher. Command power is limited, and late game it can really hold you back. The same logic applies to assigning these guys as it does to choosing your doctrines. So pick the officers which suit your playstyle. For example, you don't need an armor expert if you're not going to be building tanks. Some good ones to grab are going to be your army logistics, as a reduction in your attrition and supply is always going to be handy. Also your infantry expert or infantry officer. Every single playthrough you're going to be using infantry, so making them stronger is always going to be a good idea. As for your Chief of Air Force, having a night operations officer is really handy. Again, that's 1/3 of a day in-game, or roughly. So yeah, assigning a chief to each branch early in the game can also be a good way to get a couple of doctrines done quickly, and it's even easier if you assign yourself a Theorist, which you can do to the right of your high command. You can only have one at a time, and they'll give you a reduction either to your doctrine costs or some kind of military research, usually for nuclear tech or rockets. If you hire one that gives you the bonus for the doctrine that you'll choose, you'll save a lot of army XP in the long run. The last thing to look at is the information panels below each command section. So these are going to change as you unlock doctrines, hire your officers, complete research, and even have some political focuses be completed. You don't have to keep a close eye on this, but it can be a good way of knowing why your troops aren't performing that great, or if you're ready to actually go to war. The main stat worth knowing how to check is your naval invasion capacity, which you can see here on the right hand side. This is going to tell you the maximum number of divisions that you can have preparing for a naval invasion at any one time. I often forget if I've done the next level of naval invasion tech, so you can easily just come along and check that here if you're the same. Alrighty, that's pretty much everything you need to know about the officer corps and doctrines. So now you've made it through to the end, it's time for the bonus tip. When you're organizing your navy, if you merge all of your ships together like this, you can actually hit this scales button here, and that will split them up into task forces that are not only balanced, but also have the right number of screening efficiency. So that's your screening ships, your destroyers and light cruisers versus your capital ships. Any extra screens will be put into their own little task force at the end here, and it will also split off the submarines into their own task forces. So if we have a look through here, you can see the number of carriers and heavy cruisers. We've got exactly 4 times that many in destroyers and light cruisers, and that's consistent all along these task forces. It's even going to assign relevant icons to each of the task forces, which you can see down here, and that's going to tell you what's in each task force. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful and entertaining, and if you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing to see when I post new videos. I also stream on Twitch, my link's in the description, so please stop by and say g'day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful and oh my god. I cannot speak. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this. Oh my god. Okay. Take 3. Thanks so much for watching. What the fuck? Okay. We'll get through this.